moving over to the stocks now. Like I said before, I will split this up from the other series just in case no one gets it or they just want to see this update first. So what has happened? Okay, so we had a bit of a fake out. I will say this is a tricky one to catch because you can see that no matter what, you would have expected the momentum to shift around about here if you were going to get ahead of the game. Because normally what you do is my buy indicator comes on just after it breaks the 9. But for crypto, it's actually very hard to believe that. What you normally want to do is follow the MACD. But the MACD would have been very hard to keep track of. You can see that it broke down to the downside, and the orange bar is above it. So pretty much from here on, you should not have been buying, I guess. But at this point right here, it does flip, which means that it almost looks like it's about to become positive. And it actually breaks the downward channel for my RSI as well. So you would be very surprised when it drops all the way through the roof. Through the floor. I think this is a very good catch for the bears. It really would have trapped a few different people up in this area. I think the next trap would have been here, but really the best play for this right now is the fact that it is sitting on a resistance of about 40,000, and a lot of the stock markets and everything else is meant to, or at least have a chance of bouncing back in the next 1 to 2 days until Thursday afternoon or Friday morning for you guys, when the Federal Reserve talks to either talk about tapering or to not want to taper. Now, if the Federal Reserve tapers, you will see more of this. This is just Bitcoin, but you will see the dollar rally. So it'll break above this head and shoulders. It'll break above this 93.50, 500, 93.5. The dollar will break about 93.5. Gold will sell off. Bitcoin should sell off. Crypto in general should sell off. Stocks should sell off. Tesla should sell off. Australian dollar should fall. Euro should fall. Everything should fall. US oil probably should fall. Silver, obviously. Copper. But a lot of people are anticipating, or at least there's a bit of a confusion, if the Federal Reserve is going to taper. Now, the next thing is obviously this Evergrande, whatever Chinese thing, which the Chinese government doesn't look like it wants to bail out. But even if the Chinese government doesn't bail it out, the amount of carnage it's going to cause is probably going to be limited because the Chinese government can only take so much pain. So a lot of people probably shouldn't be focusing on that one. The biggest one is the Federal Reserve. If the Federal Reserve decides to taper because they think the economy is nice and strong, it probably is going to fall a bit, quite a bit, probably more than 10%. And if they decide to, hey, things are not looking good, we need to support the market some more, the market's just going to take off straight back ready. So it's in a bit of a holding pattern right now. And that's pretty much what I wanted to say. If you have anything in this market, I'd be very careful about what happens on Friday morning, I guess. Check when the Federal Reserve has to do their talking. Anyways, moving on to the DXY, we'll have a look at the technicals other than the fundamentals. Very strong. Now, if the dollar index breaks below, so you can see very clearly that we're forming a head and shoulders. So we got shoulder, head, shoulder. We actually formed a mini head and shoulders inside this. You got a shoulder, head, shoulder, drop. Now, what happens is when it's a psychological thing. Pretty much, people buy in, then they sell when they think they got to the top. Then other people that come in, then they sell, and then the people that missed out come in. But then the people that got in at the top here decide to get out before other people dump, and it's like a psychological head and shoulders. Like head and shoulders is a very psychological pattern, and it repeats because it's not something that people can avoid. It just catches people out because it's the time when the second chance for people to escape. So what it is you're seeing a shoulder, and a head, and the shoulder is right here formed. You can see that the peak is about the same height as what it was before, 93.2, and it's kind of just flatlining at that. Now, if the Federal Reserve comes up tomorrow and says they're not going to taper, it should jump up past 93.5, and stabilize itself up there. If they say nope, it's going to fall down here, and then it's going to probably try to break 92. And once it does that, it's going to test the 200, and then if it has some resistance, it might continue bouncing around there. But that's the only chance that the dollar has if the Federal Reserve decides to taper. Bitcoin, same thing. It's the exact opposite of the dollar. The best chance for Bitcoin is if the Federal Reserve says, no, we can't taper. We're going to pump more money into the economy. Gold, same thing. It is under this 200. Gold is looking so weak. Peter Schiff has got a lot of talking to do, but I'm sure that he's just going to beat down on Bitcoin as well. But I personally like either one of these better than the dollar. But that, like I said, it doesn't matter what we think. It depends on what people want. And right now, a lot of the world wants DXY. Moving on to the VIX, very strong showing, still above its 200-day moving average, above all of its moving averages. Now, the last time that happened to this kind of showing was over here, and it went all the way up to 41 by the time it settled down. Now, I don't think we're going to get up to 41, but if it breaks above 30 without ever dropping below 20, that's pretty impressive for the VIX, and that's scary. You don't want to be heavily invested in this market when the VIX is above 20 nowadays. I'd be worried. Moving down to ARK KK. Looks bad. It's below the 200-day moving average. It doesn't look too good technically. But once again, they are betting on the fact that the Federal Reserve is just going to pump money into pretty much technology stocks. And that's what Cathie Wood is betting on. I think that's not a bad idea because obviously the best way to win an economic race right now is to just get better technology than the other governments, other countries. So certainly governments pumping money into the economy in the hopes that their technology firms are going to get stronger than the other countries' technology firms at the same time as swamping the world with inflation and hoping that the other person breaks under inflation rather than your own country. It's not a bad way to do it, but it's just really messy. And if this is some kind of financial warfare where we're going to be the middle people stuck in the middle of two countries fighting each other by using their economic policies, it's going to be painful because not a lot of it's going to make much sense. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, I'll split this up into two. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and see you later.